What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today we're going to be talking about how Kawhi Leonard bulking up makes the Clippers a lot more scarier, and we're going to jump right into the video. Now, the Clippers are one of the more talented teams in the NBA, and as a matter of fact, since the year 2019, when they were able to gain both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they've been one of the best teams in the league when it comes to talent. Now, one thing that seems to always get in the way of the Los Angeles Clippers are injuries. You look at the Clippers, the 2019-2020 season, I feel like they had a very talented roster, but due to injuries, they could never get a real grasp on their chemistry, and we all know how important that is when it comes to playoff basketball, and we've seen how it came back to haunt them in the postseason. And then we look at the next season, they were able to get to the conference finals, but for that series, they did not have their best player, Kawhi Leonard. And then we look at the most recent season, the 2021-2022 season. Kawhi Leonard was unavailable for the entire season, and they were able to make the play-in, but they fell short in both of their play-in games. Now, we look at this consistent pattern by the Los Angeles Clippers. I think it's safe to say that the biggest competition to them right now is themselves and remaining healthy, and I love what Kawhi Leonard has been doing this offseason. He's really been putting in that work. There's been some videos of him online going viral, and there's just videos of him working out with his teammates, but in these videos he is absolutely shredded. It looks like he's added some additional muscle, and I think that's going to be so important for Kawhi next season. Adding that additional muscle is going to allow him to withstand more bumps, more collisions. If he takes a hard fall, that extra muscle could serve as a padding and prevent a lot of injuries. And we all know that the Clippers' best chance at winning a championship is with their best player fully healthy, because he is a top 3, top 5 player in this league. Whenever he's healthy, he can do so many different things on the basketball court, and he gets it done on both ends. You look at Kawhi offensively, and he is a dangerous man. He can score the basketball from all 3 levels. He's knocking down that 3-point shot off the catch, off the dribble. We all know how lethal his mid-range game is. Doesn't matter if it's a hand in his face, if he's getting double teamed, and then he can also shoot the mid-range out of the post fade. The mid-range area is probably the best part of his offensive game, and then he can get to the rim and finish with the best of them. He can make it with his left hand, right hand. He finishes through contact, and then he can also get up and punch it on you. And what makes him so dangerous offensively and so frustrating if you're the opposing team is that he is so fundamentally sound, and that's why they call him the cyborg. He plays the game with no emotions, and he rarely ever makes any mistakes. And I like to compare him to Tim Duncan when it comes to fundamentals. I think Tim Duncan can do everything a power forward can do fundamentally, and Kawhi Leonard does everything a small forward can do fundamentally. It's even nastier on the defensive side of the ball. Kawhi Leonard made a name for himself by being one of the best defenders in the NBA, really one of the best defenders of all time. He's won back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year awards in 2015 and 2016. And just to put into perspective of how lethal of a defender he is, there's a clip of the great LeBron James during the NBA Finals. He saw Kawhi checking back into the game, and he went and whispered the F word under his breath. So that's just how dangerous Kawhi is as a defender. And we look at his frame, he stands at 6'7", with a 7'3" wingspan. He has those gigantic hands, and that's why we call him the Claw. And he's a very versatile defender. He can guard 1 through 5. He can block shots, protect the rim. He can stay in front of just about anybody. He has those great instincts. He knows exactly when to reach. He plays the passing lane, and he can just do everything on the defensive side of the ball. So with Kawhi Leonard putting in the work to make his body more durable next season, I think it's going to be very key for the Clippers next season. And they got some other guys that make them pretty scary too. We got to remember PG-13. When I look at Paul George, I see a player that has the talent to be the best player on a championship team. Paul George can do everything when it comes to the game of basketball, and since he's gotten to the NBA, I think he's gotten so much better offensively. And what stands out to me the most about his offensive game is his ability to handle the ball. Guys his size usually can't dribble like that. He dribbles like a guard. He has all the dribble moves in his bag, the hezzy, the crossover, the between the legs. He can do it all, and then he can score from all three levels. He can knock down that three-point shot. He has some deep range. He's also lethal in the mid-range and in the post, and he's a great finisher around the rim. And an area that he's really improved on in his NBA career is playmaking. He's such a good passer out of pick and roll situations, and it makes him so much more dangerous because now he's a threat as a scorer and as a passer. So I love Paul George offensively, and just like Kawhi Leonard, he is a defensive-minded player as well. Paul George gets it done on both ends of the court. He stands at 6'8" with a 6'11" wingspan, so he's also a very versatile defender. He can switch 1 through 4, and he gives a lot of guys headaches on the defensive side of the court. And this is why I like the Clippers and I like their roster so much, because they have two guys that are both wings that can go out and create for themselves and create for others on offense, and then they can come down on the defensive side of the ball and lock up your two best players. So they have their two stars and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, both who look like they've been putting in some great work this offseason. And then the Clippers have an abundance of great role players. We look at a guy like Reggie Jackson, who I think played a huge role in helping the Clippers get to the play-in tournament last season. And I really love the way he fit with this team because he can do so many things on the offensive side of the ball. He can play with the basketball in his hands. He can create shots for himself. He can also get guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard easier looks, and then also he can play off of the ball and knock down catch and shoot threes. They also have a sharpshooter in Luke Kennard, who shoots the three ball at a 40% clip, which is elite by NBA standards. And then they have guys like Norman Powell, who can score the basketball, put up 16, 17, 18 points per game, doing that while shooting 40% from the three-point line. They've also added Robert Covington, who has size, length, can guard multiple positions, and then he can also stretch the floor. They have Terrence Mann, who I think is one of the hungriest players in the NBA. You can tell that he cares about the game of basketball so much, and he does the little things that help you win, and he plays so hard. And then they've also added a guard in John Wall, who used to be so electrifying. And the last time that we saw him play basketball in 2020, he was putting up 20 points per game and 7 assists. So the Los Angeles Clippers have themselves a nasty roster. There's so many different players that can do so many different things. And I think the Clippers are going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference next season, especially with these guys working on their bodies, adding that muscle to keep them healthy next season. I cannot wait to see this team play. That's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.